Welcome. On this channel I do unscripted, unedited videos about Linux programming and stuff. If you're new to the channel, check out video number 1. It kind of gives an overview of the channel. And then video number 23 talks about the current project. Most recently here I have been kind of setting up some test stuff. And I kind of got to the point where I have a decent little test framework now. And the next thing is maybe to put a test in it. I'm not real sure. Let's jump into the project. I want to take a peek at the to-do file, and the make tests do what I want. There's still some issues, but they're not horrible. I could stay in the kind of the make world here and work on getting the release builds set up, but it's not so important. I think I'd rather take a little bit of a look at the Unity testing framework and actually see what it takes to write some tests. So let me, how do I want to do this? Oops. Let's grab, I'm not sure which of these would be easier to experiment with. I grabbed state tests. I'm going to grab the source state C. There's not, there's some stuff here to test. Mostly I can just test, so we got rate character result. I don't really have the foggiest idea how to test C code. I guess it's all the same. If I am injecting dependencies, it's easy to test. And if I'm not injecting dependencies, it's a lot harder to test. I guess is what it really comes down to. But I just initially want to test something really simple. So what I'm going to do here is everything's tied together, right? So if I wanted to break this up, I can already see what testing is pushing on me, right? Here I'm passing a file name, but I should actually be passing a stream probably. If I'm passing a stream, then it's much easier to test. And then I might have a higher level thing that just kind of is a wrapper to open it and pass it in. I'm not sure if that makes sense at all, to tell you the truth. I'm not sure that it's what I want to dive into at the moment either. Okay, so because I don't want to dive into that, let's take a look at the config tests, because the thing I want to look at is actually just what does the test framework offer me. I don't want to dive into the deep void of restructuring code so that it actually is testable. And that will come. It's just not now. So if I split this and take the config side of this, I have one. So they're all tested. They're all the same. Oh, let's start with the fact that I don't have any idea what the 20 is in that test config foo, right? So test config foo is calling this function, and this function is doing an assert, right? But what the hell is this 20? I just don't know. Is it? So let's. So this is. C Unity test framework. Let's see if we find the yeah. Doop. I want to get a list of assertions that are available, for one, that are predefined. Home tools, open, pro, courses, contact. Well, let's getting started here. Include Unity H, no example. What's on the bottom? Building Unity, the basic idea, Unity with make. We're assuming your tests are named things like test blah. Assumption tool chain, start blah blah. Making pass. So this is really nothing that I want to read right now. Oh, what was that? Creating executables. We're gonna look at that later. It's not really the thing I'm after. So let's. Why does this thing not have a link to GitHub? Courses, contact, open. That is so weird. Unity tests. See GitHub. So this is the. So let's take a look at the doc. Well, let's take a look at this real good. So the docs folder contains a getting started guide. That was what I followed the first time. So for some reason this time I didn't pay attention to it. Overview, Unity helper, Unity license, how to create a test file. Okay. They're just C files. Yep. Next. It'll include a setup and a teardown. Yep. If you're using Seedling or a test runner, nope. The test functions follow the convention of starting with the word test or spec. You don't have to name it that way, but it makes it clear. Finally, at the bottom of the test file in main, you have a function called Unity begin, then you run tests for each test, and finally Unity end. This is what will trigger. Remember to add each test to the main function. If you enjoy using helper scripts in your build processes, you might consider making use of our generate test runner. Oh, they got a little Ruby program to generate your tests. Oh, one thing I can use. I bet you. Okay. Oh, that's the line number. When writing your own main functions for test runner, there are two ways to execute the test. The classic variant, run tests with line number, or its simpler replacement that starts at the beginning of the function. When writing your test, there are two ways to execute the test. The classic variant, run test, function, line number. What the hell is line number here? Is it telling you... Or its simpler replacement that starts at the beginning of the function. Does this not start at the beginning of the function? There are a number of times when a test is incomplete or not valid for some reason. At these times, test ignore can be called. Control will immediately be returned. That's the... Okay. Ignore this test and return immediately. Test ignore message. Okay, so let's try that out. I want to create a test. Well, let's do this. Okay, so let me take a look at my... I want to look at my key bindings here. So I have T to make tests. That'll actually run the tests. That's good enough, I guess, for now. Or I have, leader T. Now what I want to look at is, no, this buffer can be closed. Oh. So this is my ignore message. Test config foo ignore. This is my ignore message. And if I get rid of that, test config foo 20 pass config foo. But why would you pass the so let's take a look at that again. Why would you pass the line number? It doesn't seem to I mean, it's telling you where the test is ran, so it's telling you which test it is, as opposed to, oh, is, I guess I could be putting the line of the function, but that is fragile. It's just going to constantly change, so we wouldn't be passing any line numbers. How do you pass parameters? So that's how you abort. How do you build and run a test file? So next, set up a teardown. The setup function contain anything you would like to run before the teardown function. Both functions accept no arguments. Test functions take no arguments and return nothing. All testing accounting is handled internally in Unity. Okay. So they're always void functions. It's kind of an interesting idea, I guess. Okay, so what could we test in config? Well, we certainly could test that if I pass it a null pointer, I'm going to get some kind of error back, right? So I could be saying, you know, this could be a function like test So I'm testing a null config pointer being passed in. That's a shit kind of but what I would do is, okay, so my config, I would view split this and then source config h. I would expect a error right now, at least in but I'm not going to get it. Test assert equal. How do you get the, how do I access? Oh, so what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to say, I'm going to have a config pointer, and I'm going to call, right, and I'm going to call, config result is just a enum. So I'm going to say I'm going to have a config result of the type CFG result return val equals config load the address of config and how would I force an error? I can't unless I pass in, unless I give it an allocator, unless I, it's a total dependency injection, unless I'm giving it the allocator to use. That is going straight down that testing wormhole that I don't want to go down right now. But I can actually test assert equal interesting thing with, I still have to pass in the address of the config. Config foo is now undeclared. Yes, it is, because I renamed it to some stupid long name. So I'm going to say test config foo. It's not the thing I want to focus on right now. Unknown type name CFG. Okay, so the reason for that, well, I had that backwards, clearly. Okay, way deep down inside of config free needs to take the CFG. Missing a semicolon. That was what was blowing up before. Huh. Guess I just all out of semicolons today. Okay. Error expected before token. Not seeing it. So that builds. If I go look at one of the other, if I go look at, where am I at here? So here I want to go look at, let's go look at the test state, and that's what that looks like. That is what that looks like. The fact that, right? Okay, so that's all good. that's all good. Expected result is going to be still be config success for now. And config success is 0, so that should work. But if I do unknown error, we have our fail. Now I want to go back. I want to rerun that. And that's which is which here? So this is game test, that's network test, this is state test. This is config test. So that goes with that. I want to make this a little more clear. So in each of these, I am going to right before each of these lines, I should see that. I would have expected, so I see the summary, then I see the summary. So this is all coming after. It's like it's after it exits. Oh, I suppose it's really just test. It's coming from the Unity end. Not sure that really let's maybe do it this way. So everything inside of there is from one set of tests. And the config tests do run first, and they are 0 failures at the moment. And if I grab it and I do unknown error, I of course get my failure. And let's take, so if I go to source, and I go into config C, and I just make this return and now if I test that, so it did rebuild it. So config unknown error, should be a 1. expected one was 0. Oh, do I have these? Oh, yes. Did I have that working before? Expected one, yeah, I think I did have it working. I don't know why I seen it as not working. Config success. So I'm expecting free an invalid pointer. No, I should be passing that in that. So e source, I'm getting that invalid pointer main config. So config free is the point. Yeah. Why am I? It's because because this is probably what's going on here, right? It's getting null. So here, let's try and make our lives easier in the future. How does the assert macro? Okay, so C programming. Is it just a not equal? Is that what I got to do? Yeah, I'm sure. So what I want is assert CFG not equal to null, right? But assert's probably not defined, so I need to insert and then of course, like always, miss. Okay. So right now everything is working. Except for it shouldn't be, I think, right? Does the testing quit after the failure? I don't know. Why do I not get the assertion config equals null failed? So, so I want to assert that it's not equal to null, and oh, I should be asserting that as y. Oops. So it's aborted because config did equal null, right? I assign config to null. Over here I have an assert to verify that it's not null before I free it. Then I free it and return success. So there's something I can test. Or I could test if I wasn't. I wonder if you can Unity testing framework. I wonder if you can catch. I wonder if you can catch that abort from failure. Unity, C, testing, catch, assert, abort. Best way to test exceptions with assert to ensure that they will be thrown. I'm not in C++, and I guess that's partially my Jesus is a C# answer, right? And I don't want a Unity engine answer. Okay. So I'm probably going to be stumbling around a lot for a while as I kind of get a footing and a feel for how I want to do my testing and whatnot here. I certainly do not have any kind of predisposed ideas here. So okay. This does what I think it does. Now what I want to list is what I want to find is a list of assertions that are predefined. Unity's C programming test list of assertions. So somewhere in the docs, maybe we have that. Contributing, blah, 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 blah. Contribution gains, getting started. Helper scripts, known issues. So, getting started. I can go digging through the code. Let's find test helper types. I want to find. There we go. That's what I want. I bet. Yes, it is. That's the exact thing that I want. So I want to copy that path, and I want to. Where do I want to put it for now? I want to put it in the README, I think. So then README. Eventually, I'll write something about the testing here. But for now, the important thing is that I have that. Except for I want it as the full URL. And you know what? I also just want it as a local file. And we will have that in downloads. And can view here. Okay, so we have. Let's take a look. We can just force fails. We can do ignores. We can just assert true, assert unless, assert false, assert not null. Test assert unsigned. Oh, nice masks. Integer. Test inside of a range. Nice convenience one. Assert equal memory. Nice. I guess. Yep. Compare arrays. Each equal compares arrays to a single value. Oh, that's nice. Floating point. Double. Okay. Unity assertion cheat sheet for printing and possibly framing. Yeah, I may just print this one out on the wall in front of me. It's not a bad idea. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. That was what I wanted to do. I know it probably wasn't a very, it absolutely was not a particularly exciting video. And come to think of it, let's just make sure we got things cleaned up. So let's go back to the test and let's go back to config. And right now, I'm expecting a success. Let's go back to source config, see what I got messed up. And under normal circumstances, you should get a success. So all of those finished with success. I see kind of a, so I almost certainly am probably going to write some kind of scripted helper for running the test. I mean, one of the problems I have doing it in the makefile this way, well, is I guess I can probably just make it fail on the first failure too. I can probably figure that out. Okay, so what have I changed? I read me into do aside. I know it's in the readme. Get diff source. So I have that assert that I added and an extra line in the config load. Let's get rid of that extra line. Source config C. Vim source config C. Right? It's that one, I think. So the only difference now is that assert. I'm going to keep that. And in fact, I'm going to add those asserts into, let's take a look at source state. And we should have the same free with the same assert. Will save me some time and effort should I ever pass. Should I ever pass, how do I want to do this? I think those are guard statements. That's the body and then a return value. So get status, I'm good with what's in get source. I just looked at that. Get diff test. I added all those puts. I got rid of, so I kind of modified config foo to do something that doesn't really matter. Let me get rid of, so that is config. This is in the cheat sheet. Don't have to try and remember it anymore. Yep. And I'm going to leave those putses, but actually, let me do it this way. Vim test .c. Let's copy that. Oh, I did already put it in all of them. That's right. Okay. Oh, I know the other thing I wanted to do is to just get rid of those line numbers in the run test functions. So we're doing this all the same. Oops. Should be all of them. Yep. Get status. So that was everything that, okay, so get add, get commit. I'm just going to say experiment with tests, get push, get hub. Okay, so that didn't really result in much of a thing getting done. git push main to GitHub. Git push GitHub main. Brain's getting inside out. Okay. That didn't get much done. I mean, it didn't, how do I say that? It didn't, there wasn't much of a work output other than me learning a bunch about how that test framework works and starting to think about it. And, you know, I have to do a whole lot of, I'll have to decide if that's how I want to go about it. I'm not a big fan of, like, dependency inversion just so that I can test. I mean, sometimes it's almost the only way. But in the end, then, I've written my code for tests and not for, you know, like simple readability and stuff. Anyway, we'll take a look at that in future videos. I am calling this one done.